Welcome to the Digital Marketing Masterclass. Diego and I are so excited to still have you in this class, and we hope that you've been enjoying it thoroughly. So the next step in this digital marketing world is setting up your email marketing system. Email marketing is so important. For me, it's still the highest converting tool as compared to social media or other content marketing like YouTube or blog writing. So it's so important as you get started to start collecting email addresses. That's what you actually do. The basic process is getting email addresses from people and delivering them content. Not only sales content, but also educational content and inspirational content. What do you do when you wake up in the morning? Most people still, even though you're checking your Instagram, your Facebook, and everything else, most people still check their email address. And their email address is a little bit more private than, say, social media. And that's why I believe it converts a little bit better, because they're getting messages from people that they like, know, and trust. Unless it's spam, of course, and that's not what we're going to be doing. Hopefully now you understand that email marketing is important. How does the basic email marketing funnel work? First, let's understand just how a marketing funnel works. In this first top of the funnel, you have awareness. This is people who are aware of you, or they become aware of you. They search for something on Google and they end up on your website, or they type something into YouTube and they find your video or your blog article or something else on social media. They become aware of your brand. This is the biggest part of the funnel. From there, we go a little bit further and fewer people become interested in your product or service. These people start to spend more time on your website or reading your content, watching your content, and they're starting to get interested in what your product could do for them. At some point, they have to make a decision. So they're deciding whether to purchase or not, and hopefully you're helping them to make that decision, reinforcing that you will solve their problem. And then lastly, they take action and they buy or not. And so the smallest part of the funnel are people who have actually taken action. The goal is to work people through the entire funnel. How does this look like with email marketing? Well, you have people who become aware of you, and then you send that traffic, whether it's through YouTube or really social media or really wherever, but you send that to an opt-in form. You've seen these all over the place. You see them on websites where they say, sign up for my newsletter, or sign up to get a free book, or sign up to get a free course. That little box or that little form where you submit your email address is called an opt-in form. And these opt-in forms can be created using the email marketing service that you choose, or sometimes with different website builders with different plugins. For example, on WordPress, there are many plugins you can use to customize how an opt-in form works. Or if you're a web developer, you can actually customize and create your email opt-in box from scratch. But that's not what we're going to be doing in this class. The lead magnet is a very important part of the opt-in funnel. And it's not really the next step in the funnel, but that's what you give in exchange for someone's email address. Sometimes you don't really need a lead magnet. All you have to say is that, hey, join my newsletter and I'll send you emails when there's something of interest. Other times it's more specific. Join my newsletter and I'll send you a weekly email with new tips. Other times it takes a little bit more work to get people to give their email address to you. After all, it is private. And if you're like me, you don't like giving your email address away all over the place. You don't want that kind of spam. So that's why you have to give something of value away, and that's called the lead magnet. And we're going to be talking about the tools you can use to build lead magnets and the types of lead magnets in a couple of lessons. After they've submitted their email through the opt-in form, you run them through a sequence of emails. Now, this sequence could just be one email, but ideally it's multiple emails. And that leads them to the sales pitch and your offer for your product or service. And ultimately, that's where they make their decision and take action or not. That's basically how an email marketing funnel works. But how do you drive people and get them on your list? Well, there's two big buckets and two big ways you do it: content marketing and paid advertising. So with content marketing, we're talking about YouTube videos, blog articles, creating some sort of interesting, inspiring, entertaining, educational type of content that they consume that then directs people to a page where they can opt in. Or maybe that page has an opt-in form on it, like a blog article. I'm gonna lump social media into this as well, because even though it's not really big content that you're creating on social media, in general, I'd say that with a hesitation, because on Facebook and on these platforms, you can put up big content. You can put up your own videos and host it on places like Facebook, which is good. But in general, it's more, your latest news or your latest thoughts or status updates. But more and more, we are sending people to our website and opt-in forms through social media nowadays. So I'm going to categorize that under content marketing for this case. The next is through paid advertising, and that could be through the big two. What we're going to talk about in this course are Google and Facebook. Google ads that show up along the search results on Google, as well as Gmail and lots of other places on different websites, or Facebook, whether you're putting up an ad or you're simply boosting a post of yours, which shows up as a sponsored post or basically acts as an ad. And boosting posts is a good way to get people aware of your brand, that first part of the funnel. Perhaps they might get interested if they click on it, they read it, and that's where, if you have an opt-in form on that page, you can actually get someone directly from a paid advertisement onto your list in a couple of steps. This is the theory behind email marketing. We're going to dive deep into these different aspects of it in the next lessons and later on with Facebook advertising and Google advertising. But for now, you understand the basic way that an email marketing funnel works. Cool? All right, let's move on to the next lesson. Here are our recommended email marketing tools. First, let's understand what an email marketing service is. Basically, it allows you to send mass emails to a lot of people. If you're using your regular personal account, like a Gmail or a Yahoo account, and you are sending hundreds or thousands of emails, the same email to all those people, your account might get marked as spam. So you need an actual tool that helps you to do this. But there are also many other reasons why you would want a tool to assist with this. One is just the automation of all of it. From getting the person's email through an opt-in form to automatically sending them emails or a sequence of emails to being able to segment your audience and tag them in certain ways so that you can put your audience into different buckets so you know how to market to them better. Plus automatically sending out a lead magnet to a new subscriber. That's what an email marketing service does for you. A few things to consider are the cost, the tools that you get, and the support. I've tried different types of email marketing tools, and the support is better than the others. And at the end of the day, when you're getting started out, sometimes that is a huge factor. I'm currently using ConvertKit, which I absolutely love, but they did go through some growing pains in the beginning where they were just starting out, they had a small team, and their support wasn't that great. On the other side of the spectrum, if you're using something like Aweber or MailChimp, who has thousands, literally, if not hundreds of thousands of people using their tool, their support might not be as personalized as you would like. There are so many tools out there. Some of the most popular ones are MailChimp. You probably hear those ads for MailChimp if you listen to a lot of podcasts. Aweber, Constant Contact, Infusionsoft is one that a lot of big name marketers use, but it's very confusing. It's very robust, great for doing what it does, but not easy to get started with. And then ConvertKit is sort of the new kid on the block that has a ton of great features that a lot of new marketers are using. I can't tell you exactly which one to get started with because your budget is different. The things you're looking for it to do are different. I can only talk from my own experience. I've used MailChimp before. MailChimp is great to get started with because they have a free plan. And if you go to any of their websites, you'll be able to find out more information about all their different plans. For MailChimp, you can get started with up to 2,000 subscribers and 12,000 emails sent to those subscribers per month. And that's actually not too bad to get started. You can do a lot of sales and revenue with a list that small if it's targeted and high quality. One thing I like about ConvertKit, which most of these will do as well to some extent, is that they integrate with other applications. So if you're selling digital products on Gumroad.com, if you're selling t-shirts on Printful, if you're selling digital courses with a tool like Teachable, they integrate so everything can be automated. For example, if a new student enrolls in my class, they can automatically be subscribed to a new sequence. If they purchase a different class, they can be enrolled or disenrolled in an email sequence, tagged as a certain type of person. So if someone enrolls in one of my photography courses, for example, I tag them as a photographer. So in the future, when I send out photography related emails, then I send it to that person. But I won't send those emails about photography to people who are perhaps tagged as motion graphics artists and not photographers. If you have specific questions about any of these tools, feel free to leave a question in the Q&A tab. Specifically about ConvertKit, I'll be able to help you out there. If you have questions or you want to look into the back end of any of these other tools, most of them have Facebook groups. So if you search for example, ConvertKit on Facebook, you can find their Facebook group and you can kind of see what's going on. You can see what people are talking about, if there's a lot of people complaining about them, people are really happy with them, if they're rolling out new features, what kind of dialogue they have with their users. So that's something I would recommend doing. Thanks so much for watching, and we'll see you in the next lesson. What does your target audience need help with? That's what you're going to create a lead magnet to help with. Lead magnets are the giveaways that we give away in exchange for someone's email address. Types of lead magnets include PDF guides, ebooks, an email course or a series of emails, an online course or an online video series, or perhaps a webinar, or some other type of file or giveaway or download. It's easiest to have it be a digital download so that you can just automate it. It can be online. There's no processing. Sometimes people will even just give their email address in exchange for being a part of a newsletter. But if it's a newsletter or if it's a PDF or any of these other types of lead magnets, you have to make it super duper high quality so that when people see it, they're like, whoa, this is so amazing. I wonder what their paid stuff is like. Because if you give away some sort of quickly slopped together PDF that has no brand graphics, it doesn't feel cohesive with your website or brand, and it doesn't really help the person, if it's just sort of like a top 5 tips kind of article where people don't really learn anything, it doesn't really help them, then they're not going to want to buy your products or services. Let's quickly look at a few case study examples, then I'll talk about tools you can use to create your own lead magnets. I've got lots of different lead magnets on videoschoolonline.com, but one that I'm most proud of that I recently put up is a free mini course. It's called Adobe in 30 Minutes, where you can learn Adobe Photoshop, Premiere Pro, Lightroom, and After Effects with quick 30-minute tutorials. And it's just basically a course that I uploaded and hosted with teachable.com, and you can see it here on my homepage. I also have other free courses, but it's better, and it's somewhere, this is something that I'm getting better at, and I've changed around my homepage just to test out, but it's always better to have one call to action or simplify your calls to action on your home page. You don't want to make it too distracting. I have lots of stuff going on. You can see I've got my opt-in or my freebie lead magnet. I've got tutorials. I've got courses down here. So I've got a lot going on. This is definitely one area that I could improve. And I go to people like Amy Porterfield, for example. Amy Porterfield is a digital marketer herself. She does a lot of great stuff with webinars, her podcast, blogging, and on her homepage, she has 3 options for lead magnets. Free cheat sheet for rapidly growing your email list, a cheat sheet for online course creators, and a cheat sheet for webinar creators. So really, she's catering to 3 different types of audiences or someone who wants all of those. And of course, if you click on this, you're going to have to submit your email. That's how it works. So she's a marketer, and I see a lot of marketers like her, and it's easy to try to replicate what the marketers are doing because they know what they're doing. They do a good job of marketing, but a lot of them are just marketing information. What about people who are actually selling a real digital product or something that's not related to marketing? Well, here's a website called the Lightroom Queen. She does Lightroom tutorials and helps people with Adobe Lightroom, which is a photo editing software. She has a free ebook. So if you go on her homepage, you see the Start Here button or this arrow, click here. It's got her free ebook. And of course, if you download this, you're going to have to give your email address. She also has this top bar right here for her newsletter. Cole's Classroom is another photography website. and he gives out free presets, which is a quick way to edit your photos. So here on his homepage, big top of his homepage, click the get here, free presets. And of course, if you want those, you're going to have to give your email address. Listen Money Matters is one of my favorite podcasts about personal finance, and they give away a free chapter of one of their books, plus weekly emails and updates. So it's basically their newsletter, and this is on their homepage. It's the first thing. And I would say that because building your email list is probably the most important thing you should be working on as a digital marketer, it should be the main thing on the homepage of your website. Well, I created one of my most downloaded lead magnets in InDesign. It was a PDF guide for online course creators. You can use a tool like Microsoft Word or even for free Google Docs to create a PDF document. If you want to host videos, you can use YouTube or Vimeo.com and host your videos for free. You don't have to make them public, and then you can embed them on a page on your website that you don't share anywhere except with people who sign up for your email list. And when someone subscribes, you can just send them a quick email. Hopefully this is automated with the link to that page with those free videos. If you're creating online classes, Teachable and Thinkific are great for hosting video content. And to actually send this lead magnet, this digital file, if it's not just a link to a website, your email marketing tool should be able to deliver it. That's one thing I love about ConvertKit is that when you're setting up your sequences and your email response for people who subscribe, you can send files through ConvertKit. If your email marketing tool doesn't host digital files for you, you could use a tool like Google Drive, Dropbox, really any cloud storage to host your files, and then you would just link to it in the email that you send to new subscribers. One pro tip is to create individual lead magnets for different posts or different blog articles or different pages of your website. Nick Loper of Side Hustle Nation does this amazingly. For each individual podcast, he creates a free PDF highlight reel of the podcast, and you can download it on each blog article or podcast post. This gives someone who's brand new to Side Hustle Nation, who lands on this page because they found it from maybe the person he interviewed or just by searching online, it's a reason to download and to join his email list. A lot of people who go to this page might never go to the homepage of Side Hustle Nation, but because there's a specific lead magnet related to this post, they're more likely to want to opt in. What I would do if I were you is to go to the websites for companies in your niche, your competitors, see what they're doing. Subscribe to their email list. This is smart even if they don't give out a lead magnet, just to see what type of email marketing they're doing to get inspiration, but also to see how you can improve. But specifically, this will allow you to see what your competitors are giving out as lead magnets so that you can make yours even better. Thanks so much, and in the next lesson, we're going to be talking about where you should be putting opt-in forms on your website. Here are the best places to put opt-in forms on your website. The way you put this on your website will be different depending on what your website builder is. So we're not going to dive into how we actually add these to your website. If you have questions, please let us know. If you have specifics about WordPress, I know those are things we can answer. Also, Google is your perfect friend for these kinds of situations, but we do want to go over the best spots that we think convert well. So let's look at some examples. First, what we've already seen is on the homepage header. So here is Smart Passive Income, Pat Flynn, one of my inspirations. He has his photo at the top, and then right underneath, he has his opt-in form. And his opt-in form here is just for joining his community. He's not selling anything. He's not, quote unquote, selling anything. He's not even offering a lead magnet right here. It's just to subscribe. Chris Ducker is another person, and it's actually fortuitous because a pop-up just popped up on his website. And so that's another way that you can have an opt-in form through a pop-up. Pop-up forms do convert, and that's why people use them. But Chris Ducker also has his main opt-in form in his homepage header, his hero. And here he lists all the different things that he gives away. The sidebar is another great place. That's the bar that's on the side of most websites, especially when you're looking at blog articles. And the reason why this is good, and you're looking at Video School Online with my free course opt-in or lead magnet, is that if someone finds my tutorial, say someone's searching for neon sign tutorial in After Effects, and they end up finding this through Google, they might come straight to this page and see my sidebar, but never go to my home page. So having this here is a good idea. Having a great lead magnet that targets all of your biggest target audience is good to put in your sidebar. Mr. Money Mustache, another inspiration of mine, he shows how you can put an opt-in form at the end of a blog article. And this works because if people have read through your entire blog article, there's a good chance that they liked what they read. Because most people who don't like what they're reading will just exit out and go to another website. And so having a lead magnet or an opt-in form at the end of an article or even in the middle of an article is another great place. Here are 2 more examples of pop-ups. Here's for Pencils of Promise. So they don't have an opt-in form on their home page, but after a few seconds, a pop-up did pop up asking for my email address. This one's kind of funny from smartinsights.com. I was just actually reading up just to clarify how Google is punishing people with pop-ups, and lo and behold, a pop-up popped up on this article about why pop-ups are bad. These new guidelines from Google really affect mobile devices because the pop-ups are very much not mobile friendly. And so if the pop-up covers the main part of the content or pops up right after you load the page, that can affect your ranking. Another cool place to put your opt-in form is the top bar. Hello Bar is one actual tool that you can use. It's free to get started with that will put a top bar at the very top of your website. You've probably seen those where it's on every page of the website. Sometimes you control which page it shows up on, but it's just a little bar that has the opt-in form that's at the very top of the website, even above the menu. Just a few tips for writing the copy of your opt-in. First, you got to make sure that the lead magnet is on target and it's irresistible. It's something that people will definitely want, and they won't want to go away from your website without getting. That's why you need to put a lot of time and effort into it. Make sure that the opt-in copy, the text, is on brand, that you're using a voice and a personality that you have used across your website. Use colors, fonts, logos, imagery, again, on brand. You want to make sure that the opt-in form stands out. Here on Smart Passive Income, you can see that his opt-in form is clearly separated from the rest of the home page. That really makes it stand out. Chris Ducker's, it's the full top part of the website. So this whole part stands out. But I would argue that Pat Flynn's actually stands out a little bit more. Your eyes are drawn to this opt-in form right here because that light blue bar makes it stand out. And if you are a big part of your company's brand, put your face on it. Here's an example of Marie Forleo, who is another marketer. And here on her Getting Started page is her main opt-in form. And she includes an image of herself. Same like how we saw with Pat Flynn, Chris Ducker. You look at all of these marketers, anybody where they are the face of their brand, they put themselves on the home page. That's because people connect with you. You want to build that tribe of raving fans that like, know, and trust you. And if you put yourself on that home page, that's an introduction to the audience. And if someone knows about you and then comes to your website after, they're going to feel comfortable putting their email address because you are right there asking for it. I hope these tips help you put better opt-in forms in your own website. Segmenting and tagging your audience. I briefly mentioned this before, but I just want to clarify that this is such an important part, especially when you're getting started with building your email list. It's better to start segmenting your audience so it doesn't get confusing as you go on, because it's a lot harder to go back and try to organize your email list, your list of subscribers, rather than starting from the beginning. This looks different depending on what type of email marketing tool you're using. I'm using ConvertKit, so it's going to look different for me. So I'm not going to dive into the bare bones of how you actually do this, but I just want to talk about why it's so important to do so. And if you need help figuring out how to do it in whatever tool you're using, just let us know if you can't figure it out on your own. So why is tagging so important? Well, the idea is that you're grouping together people who have similar interests so that you can send emails related to that particular niche to that group, rather than if you have a large audience on all kinds of different topics and sending the same email to everyone, because the click-through rate and the engagement on those types of emails won't be as good as if you are targeting a specific group or segment of your audience. If you have one audience and you're in one niche, then this might be a little different, but even still, you're able to tag people with different tags, such as people who are brand new to your website. Maybe you create a tag for people who have purchased a product of yours, so you know that these are people that have spent money on your site before or in your business. You can also automate the way that people get email sequences depending on the tag that they get. For example, I have multiple sequences set up through ConvertKit for people who enroll in a free online course of mine. They start getting those emails, and while I educate them, I'll also throw in some promotional emails for the paid courses related to the course they enrolled in. If they end up enrolling in that paid course, I don't want to continue to send them the emails promoting that course to them. One way to make sure they don't get those emails is to tag them as someone who has purchased that course. And in ConvertKit, you can do things like when they're tagged as a purchaser, you can stop sending them emails from the sequence for people who have not purchased. Does that make sense? Here are some examples of tags that I've created with Teachable. So I have an online teacher tag, a YouTuber tag, a business person tag, video creator. And this was when Video School Online was basically everything that I taught. Now I actually have completely separate websites with separate ConvertKit accounts for the online teaching niche and the video creation photography niche to just keep it a little bit more organized for myself. But you can see here, when someone signs up for one of these free courses, they get one of these tags. One of the most recent tags that I created was called Adobe in 30. And this is for people who subscribe to this new course, enroll, and they get a sequence called Adobe in 30 minutes welcome sequence. This is going to be one of my biggest lead magnets that I've created so far. And I think it's going to be one of my most popular. I've actually had over 100 email subscribers sign up in the first week of launching this lead magnet. And I want to make sure I know who has signed up for this Adobe in 30 minutes sequence, because these people are highly targeted to people who want to learn Adobe software. And I have premium courses on a lot of that type of software. And so now I can take emails or create sequences and send them to this specific group of people. This is very important if you want to grow your audience into multiple topics. So please start tagging your audience. In ConvertKit, you can create segments. So not only can you tag, but you can have sort of an overarching group or a segment. So for example, if someone is tagged as a motion graphics artist and then someone else is tagged as a video creator, I have a full segment for people interested in video production where both of those tags get lumped together. That way, in ConvertKit, it makes it easy because then I can just send emails to that whole segment. Or in most other software or email marketing apps, you can just send it to multiple tags if you want. And the cool thing about all this software too is that they don't duplicate, or they shouldn't duplicate. So if someone is tagged as multiple things, for example, motion graphics artist and video creator, and I send an email to both of those tags, they shouldn't be emailed twice. They're going to be only emailed once. And that's how ConvertKit works. That's why I like ConvertKit a lot, actually, because it's a single user system where one user, no matter how many tags or segments, counts as one email. Anyways, I hope this inspires you to create your own tags and segments in your own email marketing tools. Let us know if you have any questions. You need to be writing email sequences that are automated and sent out to new subscribers so that they can get to know you a little bit more. Plus, you can use sequences to sell your products and services. This is the beauty of email marketing tools because it's all automated, and this can be happening all in the background while you do everything else that you need to do to run your business. so that you don't have to be sending specific emails on specific dates to specific people all the time. I mean, you would be spending your entire life doing this manually if you had to do it like that. So with any email marketing tool, you should be able to automate it. There's different types of sequences that you can have. You can have an introduction sequence that welcomes people to your website, to you and your brand. An educational sequence where it's just if someone wants to learn more about a topic, you have a sequence of emails that helps them learn more about a topic. You have your product launches. If you're launching a new product, you can have a multiple email sequence that you send to people. You have your follow-up email sequence to people who have purchased a product to keep them engaged, to make sure they're happy with whatever they've purchased. Lots of different types of email sequences. Here's just a quick sample sequence that is sort of your typical email sequence that I like to send to people. This is for people who come and are brand new to my website or are brand new to one of my products. For example, a free course. I'll send them an intro email, and then I'll follow it up with 2 educational emails. And these 2 educational emails are purely educational. It's just additional content that will benefit them. I followed that up with what I call an inspirational email. This is an email that is not selling a product, but it's selling the benefit of whatever product or service I'm offering. For example, if I'm teaching a class on Adobe Premiere Pro video editing and I want to inspire someone to learn this software, I'll show examples of types of videos that people can create with that software. Or I'll share an interview that I did with someone who uses Adobe Premiere Pro. So this is the email that is not necessarily teaching them something new, but it's inspiring them and making them want to learn or to use the product that I'm about to sell them in the next email, which is the soft launch, which is an email where I first start to mention the product that I have. It's still an educational or an inspirational email in essence, but I mentioned the product. It's not a, hey, check out this product. It's only $99. You can get it here for 10% off. It's more of an email where I'll follow up on the inspirational email that I just sent saying, I hope you enjoyed that story about Joe Schmo who learned Adobe Premiere Pro and now has a full-time job in the film industry. Here's a cool tutorial on how to create better titles with Adobe Premiere Pro. If you're really interested in liking the tutorials that I've been sending you, I actually have a full course for you that you can purchase where you learn everything from beginning to advanced. That kind of email. I'll follow up that soft sale with another inspirational email to reinforce the idea. And this maybe is a testimonial from a student of mine, a user. How did the product change their life? I might include a link to the product in this email, maybe not, because in the following up email, the hard sell, that's where it's just purely promotional. There's no sort of fluff, there's no education. It's just, hey, here's this product. I hope you've been enjoying these emails that I've been sending you. If you want to take it to the next level, purchase here. Just click here, explain how you purchase it. And then, of course, a follow-up. This will probably look different if they purchased versus if they didn't purchase. In ConvertKit and most tools, you can automate it. So if someone purchased a product, they might be transitioned to another sequence entirely. Or you can usually add funnels to your emails. So if someone purchased, then they wouldn't actually get the follow-up email that says or asks, why didn't a person purchase the product that you promoted? Or whatever your follow-up is to people who don't purchase. But it's a good idea to have those follow-up emails. At the end of the day, remember that the goal with a sequence is to educate and inspire. And if you can educate and inspire, the selling will be easy. I'm about to show you actually some of my sequences that I'm using so you get a better sense of how I'm having success with this. But a few quick things on how to write better sequences. The first is to use evergreen content. If you have YouTube videos or blog articles that you think are really high quality and are related to this sequence, create a whole email about it. Maybe use that as sort of the base of your email, and then if you want, you can have people click to the article or to the YouTube video. This is a great way to keep that old content that is still high quality alive and just getting people aware of it. There's no reason to try to reinvent the wheel if you've already written about these topics. Just use a blog article that you've already created. Personalize it with their name. Most times with this software, during the opt-in form, people will submit their name. So in the emails that you sent, you can personalize it to that person's name. So the email isn't just, hey, this is an email, blah, 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 whatever you say. It's, hey, Phil, hope you're doing well today. And you include their name in that email itself and try to make it more personal that way. Another tip is to send it at the right time. This is going to depend on the email tool that you're using, but some of the tools allow you to set when emails go out. And there's lots, I'm going to actually include some links to articles that explain all of this, but there's a lot of research that's been done into when's the best time to send an email. There was sort of an aggregate article that I recently read. They did a lot of research from many different sources, and they found that Tuesdays and Thursdays at 10 a.m. is a great time. Now, 10 a.m., that's different for people all around the world, but if you can send it at 10 a.m. no matter what time zone people are in. That's one of the cool things about some of these email marketing tools. Not all of them have it yet. Otherwise, think about where most of your audience is. If most of your audience is in the United States, sending it 10 a.m. Eastern time is a great idea, because that's where most people live. I believe about half of the people in the United States live in the Eastern time zone. There's a lot of people on the West Coast and Pacific time, but even still, sending at 10 a.m. Eastern time will result in a 7 a.m. Pacific time email. So it'll be the morning. And that's where a lot of people are who have money to spend. So really, for most businesses, 10 a.m. Eastern time is a good standard. But it might be different depending on your niche. Some people found that sending on the weekends is really good, which is sort of weird because you wouldn't think that sending emails on the weekend is a good idea. But some people found that they had higher click-through rates and higher open rates on the weekends, maybe because people have more time. So it's a good idea to test. And the great thing about these tools is you can analyze the success of your emails by seeing what the click-through rate was, what the open rate was, and you can see, okay, if I sent this type of email at this time, did it do good or not? So you should be looking at your analytics too. The last quick tip is to test different subject lines. I'm going to be talking and giving more tips about subject lines in the next lesson. In some tools like ConvertKit, you can actually do A/B testing with subject lines, which is one of my favorite things about ConvertKit. You can actually test two different subject lines. And what happens is ConvertKit will send out your email to a certain percentage of the people receiving that email. And then they'll see after like 3 or 4 hours which subject line worked best. And based off of that data, they'll send out the rest of the emails to the list that you're sending to with the subject line that converted better. So let's dive into ConvertKit so we can see some real world examples of what I'm doing. Here is my online course masters behind the scenes account. I just launched this account. I have about 1,000 subscribers for about a month and a half or so. But there's a few sequences. I launched this brand new free trial of my masterclass. And so whenever anybody subscribes, they get this free masterclass. For example, when someone listens to my podcast and joins through the podcast page, they get on this podcast sequence. If someone attended one of my webinars, I'll put them on a workshop sequence. This is a follow-up to the webinar that tries to ultimately promote the masterclass. And this is the masterclass purchaser. So this is a new product that I launched about a month ago. So far, we've had 11 people sign up for it. So pretty darn cool for this specific program. And you can see the open rates and the click rates for these different sequences. The open rate for the masterclass free trial sequence is super high. And that's because this is a challenge-based sequence. So it's basically a 6-day or a 5 or 6 day sequence that people get. And it's a 5-day challenge for people to get started with teaching online. So when people sign up for this, they know that they're going to be working hard for the next week. And that's why I believe the open rate is higher. The masterclass is super high open rate because these are people who actually purchased and paid a premium price. The podcast sequence is also relatively high, and that's because this is specifically targeted to people who listen to my Online Course Masters podcast. Before, this used to be the same sequence that people got when they signed up on Video School Online. And a lot of people go to Video School Online who aren't interested in teaching online. So the open rate and the click rate was really low compared to this new sequence that I set up. And so I'm really actually happy about the open rate. Let me just show you, for example, the masterclass free trial sequence. So here, this is how it's set up in ConvertKit. And again, I know this isn't going to be the same for everyone, but you can see that I've got a welcome email, and then each day I send them the steps for the next part of the challenge. Every email I have an action item, which usually is to click on something to watch a video. And then ultimately here you see that I have my sales pitch down here. And if someone doesn't get the purchase the product, I send up this "what did I do wrong" email. And this is a great subject line that works really well. I get a lot of responses from this from people who actually respond and talk to me about what I did wrong or why they didn't purchase. And that gives me a lot of feedback to improve my product, my pricing, and just how I sell my different products. You see here in ConvertKit, there's this funnel, and what happens is that if anyone has actually purchased the class, they don't get this email, because that would be awkward if you purchase the class and then I'm asking you, what did I do wrong? Why didn't you purchase this? That wouldn't make sense. So that's just one of the real world examples of how that worked. The podcast sequence, here you have, this is a pretty much purely educational sequence. I just have some inspirational stories, some tips and advice, 3 ways to get better reviews, all the accounts you need to start teaching online, 9 ways to validate your online course idea. At the very end of this sequence, I do promote my masterclass, and that's really all the promotion that I do in this sequence. Here I've switched over to my Video School Online account, and you can see all the different sequences that I have. You can see that it contains information on the subscribers that are part of these different sequences. Some are sequences that are built for people who enroll in my free classes. Others are just sequences that I've used in the past with different lead magnets or opt-in forms. And ultimately, what I think you should do is to go to your competitors' websites, people who you want to emulate and compete with, and sign up for their email sequences. See what they're doing, see how you can improve upon their email sequences, doing it your own way, of course, not copying, but just using them as inspiration. Now, in the next lesson, we're going to be talking more about how you can increase your open rate with better subject lines. Here are some quick tips for improving your subject lines, which will increase your open rates, which down the line will increase how many people actually purchase your products and services. The first tip is to keep it short and sweet, specifically because a lot of people are checking their emails on their mobile devices, and when they're using their apps to open their email, they don't see the full subject line. So the first few words are the most important. And if you can, keep it so all of the words of your subject line appear on a mobile device, that's even better. Before I go any further, I do want you to understand that it's difficult to use all of these tips at once. So if you can't use all of these tips in all of your email subject lines, it's okay, but use as many as possible. The next tip is to use the word "you," and this is an important thing for all types of sales copy, and it works for email subject lines too. When you use the word "you," people pay more attention. So if you're using the word "you" in your subject line, people will be more likely to open it. My next tip is to start with action-oriented words. Instead of a subject line that's "how to crush your competition," start with the word "crush your competition." Instead of Adobe After Effects tutorial on neon sign technique, use something like design your own neon sign in Adobe After Effects. Using an action word to start your email subject line will inspire action first for those people to actually click and open that email. One popular theory is to use fear of missing out, FOMO. So using subject lines that are like "tonight only" if you're having a sale and this is the last night of the sale. "This deal is over at midnight. You won't want to miss out on this." Don't know the secret to success? Those are subject lines where it gets people thinking, oh, well, if I don't open this email, well, am I missing out on something? And that's what you should be thinking of. As a reader of your emails, what will they be missing out on if they don't open that email? One sort of tactic is to use curiosity. So for example, one sort of hard-hitting example is, "Here's my gift to you." or I dare you not to open this email. Those kinds of tactics, they're a little bit, I don't want to call them sketchy, because you can still provide a lot of value with them, but they're a little bit clickbaity, I'll be honest, but they work. That's why my email with the subject line, "What did I do wrong?" is really good, because it builds curiosity. People are wondering, what did Phil do wrong? And that's why that email works a lot. Similarly, posing a question is often a good way. So one subject line that works well for me is, "Do you know how to make your videos better?" So not only is it a question, but I use the word "you" in it too. So double whammy. Questions build that curiosity as well. So people are wondering, do I know what this person is emailing me about? And one tip for what not to do, don't use all caps and don't use a lot of exclamation points. It will look like a spam message automatically. And I know, at least for me, whenever I see an email in all caps with lots of exclamation points or symbols, I am hesitant to even open that email. A lot of times I'll just trash it or spam it. And that's just a common practice for people who are, that kind of sleazy, in-your-face type of marketing. That is not what we're teaching. It might work for some people who like to trick people into buying their products and services, but that's not what we're about. So I would encourage you not to use the all caps and the exclamation points in your email subject lines. I hope these tips help you when you write your own email subject lines. If you have any other tips or advice, please feel to share it with us in the discussion board on the class. In this lesson, I'm going to dive into the back end of ConvertKit to show you how I'm using analytics to improve the way that I send emails. This is so important if you can do A/B testing of subject lines to see who is actually opening your emails, what your click rates are, to compare different sequences to see what types of emails do better. If you have sequences, seeing what your subject lines are. If you can't do A/B testing, just to see which ones get opened versus which ones don't. It's so important to constantly be improving, and that's really the only way that you can improve your emails, by seeing which ones actually work or not. Luckily, with most modern email marketing tools, you can see all kinds of data. So let's dive into ConvertKit. First, I want to show you how I use the A/B testing for subject lines. Here are some of my broadcast emails. These are not parts of sequences. These are just emails that I send to a specific group or all of my subscribers. Or for example, this "Watch My Documentary on Anthony Carbajal" email was sent to everyone who is related to video or photography on my list. So if I click to view report, I can see that I had A/B test results for my two titles. My two titles I test were "Watch My Documentary on Anthony Carbajal" and "My Documentary is Live. Please check it out." So the open rate was very close, 43.8 to 40.9, but over 1,000 people, this is going to make a difference. Using the action word "watch" definitely helped. Let's look at the report for 7 steps to a successful filming career. This time it was a little interesting. I posed a question in the B title: "What are the 7 steps to start your filmmaking career?" or 7 steps to a successful filmmaking career. The difference is quite significant. Here's an email. I don't have a lesson about this in this course, but pruning your email list is important. You want to have a super high quality email list. And for me, that means that I'd rather have 2,000 people on my email list than 10,000 people who aren't engaged. And so what I do is I prune my email list every few months or so. So what I'll do, and you can easily do this with ConvertKit, is you can send an email to anyone who hasn't opened an email in the past few months. And if people don't respond to that email, I'll prune them off my list. So I got rid of like almost 2,000 people just a couple months ago, because I don't want to be paying for people on my list if they're not engaging with me. So let's look at one more Phil's income report, April 2017. So here the clear winner was Phil's income report that includes the amount that I made in that month, because people like seeing those amounts. The open rate 44.3 compared to 35. The click rate also much higher in that batch of emails that were sent. So it might, who knows why the click rate is a lot higher with that subject line. Sometimes it doesn't correlate. This time it did. So let's look at one other types of analysis that I do. So here's a brand new sequence that I started last week. I mentioned it. This is for a free course called Adobe in 30 Minutes. I put together a free series of tutorials, and over 116 people have signed up so far in the past week. So that's over 100 people who are brand new email subscribers. What I want to see is the amount of clicks, because the email that I sent is a welcome email, and I can show you the content of that email. This is just a quick welcome email to Video School Online. It says here is how you can access your free 30-minute tutorials, and then below I give them more resources that I provide for them. So I've broken it down into my tutorials, my membership program, my resources page. These are the things that if someone's brand new to Video School Online, I want to let them know about them. So I'm interested to see, okay, which of these do people click on? Do people click on the membership page? Do people click on the individual classes that I show down here? Does anyone click the most recommended resources? Because this is a brand new email that I'm sending out, I don't have that much data. But if after a few weeks or even a couple months, no one has clicked on the most recommended resources page, I'm going to take that out of this email because it's not adding any value. So I can already see that I had a number of people who clicked on the individual classes. So just a few right now. A number of people clicked to access their 30-minute tutorials. A couple people clicked on the Video School Online page. So I can see that a few people have clicked these individual links. That also tells me which types of classes people who sign up for my email list are most interested in. If a lot of people are clicking on the photography masterclass, for example, after a few months, if 50 people have clicked on that link, that tells me that I should promote this class to them. And what I can actually do, which I'm not going to do now because it'll show you their email address and that's private, but I can actually click on this link and I can send emails to this group of people. So after a few months, if 50 people have clicked on this link, I can send them an email saying, hey, I noticed you were interested in the photography masterclass. Check it out here. Do my spiel why people should enroll. I can even filter out people who have purchased the class already. So anyone who clicked on it and purchased won't get that email. And that's one type of funnel you can do in ConvertKit. There's all kinds of things you can do with the analytics of your email sequences and your emails that you're sending. But it's important just to pay attention. Even if you don't dive too deep into the analytics, just checking the open rates of your sequences and specific emails. So for example, if I go into my podcast sequence, this used to be on Video School Online, and if I go into reports, I can see the open rate for specific emails in that sequence. And I can see, okay, which ones are being opened more or less? Which ones are people unsubscribing from most? A lot of people join lists and they subscribe on the very first email. And that's totally fine. You're just going to get that. But if there's an email that is getting a lot of unsubscribers later on, maybe I need to change that up. It's not as valuable to people. If there's an email that doesn't have a high click rate, why is this a 4.1% click rate while this is a 25% click rate? Something that I need to look into. So these are just a few examples of how I use analytics to improve my emails. So hopefully it inspires you to do the same. In this video, I want to show you a case study of what I recently did to get over 100 new subscribers in less than a week. I talked about this briefly, but I created this Adobe in 30 minutes series of tutorials, and I package it together as a free mini course using teachable.com to host. So here it is on the course site, and you can enroll for free. And my idea is that I'm going to give this free lead magnet, this free course out in exchange for people to sign up. And whenever anyone signs up through Teachable, I get their email address. And then I can promote my other Adobe and related courses to them. So people might find this course through Video School Online, but they also might find the course through my YouTube video, which is a promotional video that I put out on YouTube. You can see that I'm actually recording this on July 23rd. I published it on July 20th, so less than a week ago. Over 617 people watched this video, At the top of the description, I added a link. So this is sort of the lead funnel that I'm showing you, an example. This is the content that I'm providing, so a lot of content marketing. Here I used a YouTube card great, it's clickable for mobile users, so people can quickly click on this to go to the course page. I also published this on my Facebook page. So here's the Facebook post. Over 162 people viewed this. It's been liked a number of times, and people are loving it. This person says, anyone love this as much as I do? So that's awesome that people are engaging with this post. I link directly to the course from this post. I haven't paid for any marketing. This is all purely content marketing here. One other thing I did was I did put this on my homepage of Video School Online as one of the sort of the main lead magnets on my homepage. So I can actually track how many people have clicked this link on the homepage. I haven't done that yet, but this is a big opt-in sort of box on my homepage as an example. So you don't necessarily need to have one opt-in on your homepage. You can change it up if you want or have multiple. I've mentioned before that it's better to have sort of one opt-in, and that's typically the case, but I'm just always testing different things out and seeing if this works. So what are the results of launching this free course and publishing and promoting it on YouTube, Facebook, and my website? Well, what I used was PrettyLink, which is a free plugin for WordPress, to create a short link for the course page. So it's videoschoolonline.com/Adobe, and that allows me to track everyone who has clicked this link. And I put this same link on Facebook, YouTube, and my website. It would be better actually if I did this and created unique short links for each platform so I can see where people are coming from. But the cool thing I see is that over 234 unique people have clicked on this link, meaning, and that's resulted in 116 people who have signed up. And the way that I know that is because, well, I could go into Teachable Stats, or I can see on ConvertKit that I've sent the welcome message that is sent to anyone who signs up for this course to 116 people. This 116 doesn't mean 116 new subscribers. 108 over here is how many new subscribers that I have, which means 8 people were already subscribers of mine who then were added and sent this email. But this is 108 new subscribers in just a few days with that lead magnet. Now, this is going to look different for you. I already have somewhat of an audience on Facebook and YouTube purely from content marketing over the past few years. And so now when I launch a product like this, a free product, people will enroll. The cool thing with this one though is that I got over 100 people who are brand new to my email sequences to subscribe. That's a lot of people who potentially might be interested in paying me for a premium course later on. And this is a semi-highly targeted lead magnet. You see a lot of people giving out freebies to grow their email list, like, oh, I'm going to give out a free iPad or something like that. That gets you a lot of subscribers, but it's not targeted subscribers who are interested in your products and services, because anybody would be interested in an iPad. People who are interested in video production, or people who are interested in yoga, or people who are interested in mechanics. Anybody could want a free iPad. So if you do stuff like that, freebie giveaways, make sure they are targeted to your niche. Okay, so with learning Adobe in 30 minutes, these are all people that I think are targeted in my niche. Not everyone will ultimately buy a course of mine later on, but at least they have shown interest in learning Adobe right now, and I have courses that can serve them later on. So this is a great real-world case study of an entire opt-in funnel that is currently working really well, and I just wanted to share it with you.